All right, boys, what is going on? We are here again with a brand new YouTube video for Premier League Match Week 5 predictions. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say I appreciate all you guys going to the channel, liking the video, subscribing to the channel. If you're brand new here, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be trying to put these videos out every week, and I think depending on when I release this should be out a little bit earlier than normal. So give you guys a couple days to figure that out. But we got Champions League this week as well, so we'll be live on Twitch and YouTube now for Champions League. But let's get into the recap of Match Week 4. All right, so Match Week 4 ended a lot better than Match Week 3 for me. I know I said in the last video that I did want to get into the top 60, get at least 5 out of 10 1x2 correct, and get at least 3 exact scores. We weren't too far off. We were not too far off in my opinion here. We did get 5 1x2 matches correct, and we did get 2 correct scores. As you can see on the left there, we had Wolves 1-2 to Newcastle, and then we also had that Fulham West Ham 1-1. I was pretty impressed with it, right? I know I finished 80th out of 840. I want to finish in that top 60. That could be because of whatever boosters I'm using. So if I had better boosters, who knows where that could have been. And if you're wondering what the boosters are, where I'm predicting, go check out the link in the description. I am predicting on Score Rush, and there is a big change coming to this game. In about a few days here, we'll have the pro version. So if you remember me playing on Pookie, all of those assets will transition over to Score Rush Pro. You know, make sure you get in early, get your league pass, and get to predicting for real money. West Ham versus Chelsea. The first thing that I noticed when I saw this match was that Chelsea were pretty significant favorites away from home, right? 2.1 away from home when you are a team like Chelsea. It is pretty substantial to look at because they didn't have a crazy win last week. They came off a tight 1-0 win against Bournemouth, and West Ham edged out that 1-1 draw versus Fulham. It's a tough match. It's a tough match overall, right? I don't really love backing away teams too often away from home. You'll probably notice that throughout the predictions. History points to the home team having a little bit of a nice advantage in this fixture. I know it kind of goes against the odds, but I am feeling a 2-1 West Ham win. I know it's a bit crazy. I know I don't really go against the favorite like this, but something just seems like West Ham is going to get this done. Something just tells me at home, West Ham will get the 3 points. Aston Villa versus Wolves. Aston Villa, big favorites here, 1.57, and I would say deservedly so, right? Aston Villa, something about Yohan Duran, dude. I like watching him. I feel like every time he comes on, everyone in the Discord is like, let's bet Yohan Duran to live score, and I mean, it feels like he always does that. The total sits at 3 here. Wolves have been kind of hard to figure out this season. I feel like they're not too bad, but then I go look at the results, and I'm like, damn, it's kind of bad. It's tough. I feel like they can hold their own, which is one of the nicer things about the Wolves. They don't really get, I know besides that Chelsea game, they don't really get messed up that badly. The BTTS odds being around 1.6 kind of worries me if the Wolves are going to score here. I feel like if it was a little bit lower, I'd be more inclined to think that the Wolves could score. But I feel like with the European matches midweek, I feel like Villa could, maybe have a slower game, maybe not allow Wolves to, attack them as much. So I went with a 2-0 Aston Villa. Tight win here, though. Not an easy 2-0, a pretty tight 2-0 win here for Aston Villa. Fulham and Newcastle. So we have some interesting odds here where you have Newcastle sitting at 2.4 pregame on the money line. The total is at 3, and both teams to score is at 1.5, which is pretty fair. If you look at both of these teams' recent matches, both teams to score is a pretty likely occurrence in their recent matches. The books are implying this could go in a few different ways. I feel like you could see the normal 1-1. You could see the 2-1 for either team, even a 1-0 for either team, right? But predicting all those outcomes doesn't help anyone. So what I find really interesting here is that the last 4 Prem matchups between Fulham and Newcastle, Newcastle has won them all to 0. I feel like people do research this. People do think about those type of things when they make their bets for this. So it's something to keep in mind. But with the book setting the BTTS at 1.5, it makes it way too hard for me to predict either team is winning to 0 here. So I do think both teams will score, and it is kind of a boring result that I did predict here. So I feel like Newcastle has gotten results. I feel like even Fulham has gotten results, which only leads me to one real outcome, which was 1-1 for Fulham and Newcastle. I know it's boring, but sometimes a boring one is the one that gets the win. So hopefully this finishes 1-1 and I can feel like a genius. Here we have Leicester and Everton, and I'll keep it short, I'll keep it sweet. Predicting Everton games at this point just feels ridiculous. I have no idea what to expect anymore, because when you come to these predictions, when you when you try to look at the odds, recent matches, nothing really points to you predicting Everton scoring goals and then conceding more goals than they've scored, right? Basically, it's impossible for me to decide like how Everton is going to end up playing this match. But I think with all that aside, this game is very important for Leicester, right? There's a couple teams, right? I think the Leicesters, the Southamptons, the Ipswich, basically the teams that came up, they're all on notice to go back down. In a match like this, where you're going up against a struggling Everton team, you are given respect on the money line here. The books are giving you 2.35 on the money line. So I feel like this is going to be one of those tight matches where both teams are going to do everything in their power to get a result. But I think if you're Leicester, you need more than a result. You need 3 points here. These 3 points are massive to your entire Premier League campaign. I feel like Everton, knowing how Everton's been playing up until this point, you have to imagine they are going to have to figure out some stuff at the back, maybe not attack as much. I don't know. I'm not really on that football tactical level, but you have to imagine Everton has to do something different here, and that something different kind of leads me to believe that this match will end 1-0 to Leicester. I know it's kind of insane given how many goals Everton's been scoring, but I feel like you can't always go with the recent matches here, and this is one of those matches where I feel like, given the odds, a tight Leicester 1-0 win. Liverpool and Bournemouth. So as we all know, Liverpool are coming off that insanely bad loss to Nottingham Forest in Anfield, and for me, it wasn't even the fact that they didn't get the win, that they ended up losing. It's the fact they didn't score in Anfield. I did not go back to do the research, but I can only imagine how long it's been since Liverpool has just straight up not scored in Anfield in the Prem. That is something I'm thinking about, right? I know Arne Slot has to get the boys right, but also they do play Champions League midweek, which could affect how this match ends up, right? I think if there was no Champions League midweek, I'd probably go with another straight up easy Liverpool win, but I feel like Bournemouth are one of those teams that do give some teams a hard time. I don't think Liverpool are going to drop points. I don't think no draw here for Bournemouth, nothing crazy like that. I went with a simple 2-1 Liverpool win over Bournemouth. Southampton and Ipswich. This is another one of those important matchups for both teams. Like I said earlier about the relegation concept, you have Southampton money line sitting at 2.25 with a total of 2.75, and the both teams to score market sitting at 1.6. Again, the book tries to push us in a certain direction with how many goals each team will score. I personally think this match is going to be low scoring. I feel it's going to be one of those matches where both teams are going to be very interested in not conceding more than scoring, and that could end up looking absolutely incorrect after 25 minutes, but that's just what I'm feeling here. I'm just feeling like this game cannot end up being crazy scoring. I feel like it does not benefit either team to just go insane on the attack. I feel like a lot of people are going to overreact to Southampton's 3-0 loss to United and back Ipswich or a lot of goals in this match, but this is going to be one of those things where I'm going against the things that have happened and going against the odds here. It's going to be a little crazy, maybe one of those dead boring games, but I did go with a 1-0 Southampton win over Ipswich. I just feel like they'll get those 3 points at home. Also, I am rocking the kit. You thought I'd really do a Southampton prediction with a Southampton kit and not back them to win? You're crazy. Southampton 1-0. Tottenham and Brentford. Tottenham are sitting at a 1.5 money line with the total sitting at 3.25. As we know, Tottenham did not score in the North London Derby. They ended up losing to their arch rivals. Meanwhile, Brentford have just lost their main striker, Wissa, and that could be a problem for them. That could be a problem for how they end up scoring here. Led me to a 2-0 Tottenham win. I just felt like it'd be tough for Brentford to score, but Brentford, I feel like if you look at Brentford's results, they do keep matches pretty close, so I think this will be one of those tough Tottenham wins here. If Brentford do score, it's going to be off of something with Mbeumo, right? So I just didn't back that, but that's kind of how I see my prediction failing here, right? Mbeumo gets penalties or something with Mbeumo, right? Hopefully not. Hopefully they keep him, at bay, but Tottenham 2 over Brentford is what I'm feeling for this match. We have Crystal Palace and Manchester United. Crystal Palace and United are fairly even with the odds pregame, with United being a little bit more of a favorite. I think last week we'll have people thinking that United are back, right? 3-0 win over Southampton is basically what all United fans wanted to see. A crazy stat here is that Palace have gotten result in 4 straight matches at home versus United, including 2 wins. So I don't know if people really looked at that or if they knew that was a thing. I didn't. When I was researching the match, I was like, what? Palace have had 4 straight results and 2 wins? That's very nice for how Palace play at home, and I think that's normally a thing thing. Palace do play top teams at home very well. I know last week I said I would stop backing Palace if they couldn't win, but but this is truly, and I mean truly, the last time I will put respect on Palace to get something done here. I could not decide if I wanted to back the draw or back the Palace win. I really haven't been able to figure them out, but I'm trying to go against the grain one last time here with Palace, and I went with a 2-1 Crystal Palace win over Manchester United. I don't see this being a popular prediction here, but I just when I say last time, I'm so serious. Last time I will try to back Palace in a match like this. 2-1 Crystal Palace over Manchester United. Brighton and Nottingham Forest. Talk about two teams who had completely different results in match week 4. Brighton is about a 1.7 money line with a total of 2.75 and coming off a really disappointing 0-0 draw versus Ipswich. I think we can speak for everyone when we all kind of expected Brighton to score one. I didn't think it'd be easy against Ipswich, but I did expect them to just score at home, which they didn't. And then you have Forest, right, where I predicted them to lose 0-3 to Liverpool and then end up winning 0-1 with a lovely Callum Hudson-Odoi goal. I had nothing to really go off of, right? I don't want to pick their recent form, right? Because if I was going to pick their recent form, I mean, it'd be easy for Nottingham Forest. But I still want to trust Brighton at home to just be a thing, right? They didn't lose to Ipswich. They just did not score any goals in a 0-0 draw. Another interesting thing I saw in this match was neither team has lost this season yet. So I think they're both on 2 draws and 2 wins. Either good defense or shitty attack is basically what I'm expecting this match here. So historically, it does seem like both these teams, when they play against each other, tends to be low scoring. I'm going to stick with that trend, and I'm going to go with a 1-0 Brighton win over Nottingham Forest. Now we have the biggest match of match week 5. When I say biggest match, I mean like we're talking about a match that could decide everything, right? We could look back at this match when we're in February and March and be like, remember that match back in mid-September? This is it. This is the one. Manchester City and Arsenal. City's getting 1.75 on the money line with a relatively low total of 2.5. I say relatively low because this is the lowest total I've seen on the board, right? And the second lowest one was 2.75. Not a single other match that I saw on my book was 2.5. This is a match that's been, kind of dead the last 2 matchups. And I say dead for goals, right? I know the actual match themselves may have not been dead, but we've seen 1 goal across 2 matches with it being scored by Manchester City. It's hard to leave that out when you're making this prediction, right? Now, naturally, when we see 2 good teams like this, we always expect goals, both teams to score, but it's just not that simple here. Both teams will play midweek for Champions League, so nobody has the advantage there. I feel like it's too hard for me to predict anything other than a simple 2-0 Manchester City win. Arsenal fans, listen, I'm sorry. If Arsenal want to go into City and get the win, that would be massive, massive, massive for their entire Premier League campaign, right? To get the trophy. I just feel like Pep Guardiola has it still figured out. I feel like if there's a team that I'm going to back midweek after Champions League, it's going to be City, right? They've been doing it for the last 3 years. They've been doing it too often, too easy for the last few years here. I don't think this is a prediction where I want to go against them. If it ends 2-1, I can live with that. I can live with the 2-1. I can live with the 2-1. I think it'll be slower paced, which means teams not taking many chances here. And I feel like City get 1 in the first half or 1 in the 60th minute. And then as Arsenal is pushing to score their equalizer, City will end up scoring again. So for that reason, I went with a 2-0 Manchester City win over Arsenal. And that concludes our match week 5 predictions, boys. I appreciate you guys watching. In the description, again, if you want to predict with me on Score Rush, go ahead and click that link and sign up. The pro version will release later this week. Love you guys as always. I will see you on the next one.